Summertime Rendering Episode 3, it's already happened, and I really didn't think it would happen so soon. But I have some theories behind this whole final scene of this particular episode, so if you're interested in a deep dive on Summertime Rendering, you're at the right place. Let's jump right into it. Opening up this episode, we obviously have Shinpei is going to go warn the Kobayakawas, Shiori's family. He's going to go warn them. Mio's really badly wants Shinpei to go warn them, so he goes over there to check that out. He ends up running into this local lady who ends up going in there with him. She just kind of bars in the house. That whole contrast between like Tokyo life and just out in the sticks life. It's just this lady's like, all right, let's just go on in here. The door's already open. Hey, is anybody home? I love that about Japan. Just people just walk right into houses, but culture differences. Now, the unfortunate thing is that when Shinpei arrives in there, yeah, everything's kind of laid out. He notes this idea that everything's cold. It looks like they were obviously there for dinner, but something happened during their dinner the night before. And yes, he ends up finding these. I don't think they've established it yet if it's ashes or if it's burn marks, but it is one of those interesting things like what my mind immediately went to, and I didn't think about this before with Tetsu being kind of zapped away, is it almost looks like that whole spontaneous human combustion. I wonder if they'll end up tying this story in with that. Like when people see these marks, they'll end up assuming that this is spontaneous human combustion. It'll end up kind of connecting to an overall myth. But I think that's what they're going for. But again, I don't know what it's leaving behind. It hasn't really specifically said, oh, there's ashes here, or oh, there's a burn mark or whatever. But he knows that it's only 2 adult forms. And so he ends up going upstairs to look for Shiori. And yes, that's when he ends up running into Shiori. Now, here's the interesting stuff that we're already running into with this particular scene. Very eerie scene. Love the scene. I love how it sets it up. It's very dark. You can start assuming what's going to happen. It's that it's the unknown aspect of what's around the corner that it really did pull off. Now, the question mark this scene raises a big question mark for me, and that's the flash. He gets flashed by Shiori. And what that means is that Shinpei has not been cloned yet at this point. Now, again, there's a lot of question marks still left. We don't know if you can clone more than once. We do know that when he died in one of the previous resets, the Shadow Mio said specifically he's already, which indicates that he was already cloned and that he can't be cloned again. But again, it could have been that she got cut off, that she was saying he can't be because he's dying. But I'm going to stick with the idea that he could still be cloned, but he was already cloned before. And with this scene, this indicates to me that with this particular reset, Shinpei was not cloned at the funeral. Because that was a big question mark that I had. They seen a flash at the funeral. And I assume that was the point in which, if my other theory of Shinpei being a clone this whole time is incorrect, that would have been the point that he would have been cloned. But no, this indicates that somebody else was cloned at this point. Now, I stated before, I believe that Mio was already a clone before the funeral, because the clone was trying to kill her by cutting her brakes. We're to assume that Ushio has already been cloned before the funeral because they seen her clone. And we're to assume that Shiori has already been cloned before the funeral because she did mention in this particular reset, why did you say this? Now, she could have got the memories of that from Shiori. There's the part that kind of makes things difficult to really speculate on, and I think that's the whole part of the doppelganger aspect, is you don't really know. That's like, I got a huge kick out of this episode. Shinpei wanted to create a code word. So he says, whenever I say the mountains or something like that, say Mesopotamian culture. Why would you set that up? Because the clone's going to learn it. The clone is learning about you. Now, we haven't figured out exactly how much of your knowledge the doppelganger will get, but they're obviously getting something. I mean, when Tetsu was cloned, he immediately starts talking to Mio like he knows her, and he starts having his personality, and he even names Mio. So he knows about Mio the moment the clone was created. So this is that weird area about like, how much do you learn? Does it even help to have a code word? But yeah, my whole point is that at the funeral, we knew that we have Mio, Shiori, Ushio, all have clones already. We're confirmed at this point. But the fact that the Shadow Shiori is now flashing Shinpei means that he didn't get at that point. That possibly somebody else was getting a clone. The only other one I could think of right now is going to be So, which they kind of flagged it with this episode saying, I trust So with everything. Or Katakiri. I for some reason, I'm already thinking Katakiri is going to be something evil, but we'll see. Or it could be Tokiko. Tokiko is another option too. But yeah, this is a really fantastic scene because it starts to get into the mind of the doppelgangers. As Shiori's standing there, she's getting very stuck on the idea that she looks like what Shinpei would want Shiori to look like. She's asking, do you see something? Is something wrong with my body? It's questioning if it's doing a proper job. I kind of like that. I almost like this idea that the doppelgangers aren't just, I mimic you and now I kill you, everything's done and over with. I like this idea there's a little bit of a perfectionist in there, that they want to make sure they're doing their job right, that they're doing the cloning process right, because if they're not a perfect copy, they're not necessarily working properly. But anyways, it says, forget it. I'll just figure out later, which is basically, I'm just going to take your memories from you. And yeah, he's about to be taken out, but this lady ends up poking her head in. I was half expecting this lady to poke her head in and just get boom, like right on the top of the head with something like a bat or something. Like, it does indicate that something of impact was in the room. He notes that there was in the living room area that there was these little divots of impact. My assumption is maybe like a large bat or something like that, which can probably imply some stuff. If somebody is walking around with a bat, it's probably going to be that person. But maybe she already needed something really good to take out the parents being so small, so maybe she took a bat. So expect a Shiori to walk around with a bat here soon. But yeah, the thing runs away, and this cuts to Shinpei trying to figure out his options. He knows now that the Shiori's family is now gone. Shiori's gone. Shiori's a threat now. Now the focus kind of shifts to what now? Well, I need a new option. And so he chooses the glasses lady, the whole pie lady, is his next option. She obviously knows something. He's seen it in a reset before. She's carrying around this box. It's not as if she's some sort of, overnight traveler. So he's trying to find her. Interesting thing comes up here is that he goes to the cafe that he spoke to the guy before. At the cafe when he was working with Mio, this guy showed up from another cafe and said, oh yeah, that girl you were looking for, I found her. And that was at the point where we're realizing that Shinpei had a clone, but he knows specifically that she was there the night before, not in the morning. So there was a slight shift in the storyline. The significance of that is probably going to be in the fact that Minaka, the actual Megane lady, actually seen Shinpei talking to Shiori before, and that might have shifted what she decided to do. She's already realized at that point, rather than going to the funeral, that was already a clone. Shinpei talking to Shiori changed what she does. And this is when we get Shinpei creating sort of a must within each timeline. I like this idea that every time Shinpei is going to fail and reset, there's going to be certain things that he's probably going to have to make sure happens every time. And that is the survival of Tetsu. Because Tetsu visits the cafe and gives him Ushio's phone. This didn't happen previously because Tetsu ends up getting killed by the Shadow Mio. But with this particular reset, Tetsu is alive. And Tetsu gives Shinpei the phone. He says, Ushio wanted me to make sure that I got this to you if anything happened to her. So this is going to be an absolute. Every single reset, he's going to have to make sure he gets this phone because there's going to be something in it. Now, something later on in this episode kind of throws that out the window, but maybe. We'll see. Sadly, he never really opens up the phone, so we never get to see what's in that phone. I mean, my mind was going immediately, dude, get that phone open now. Like, there's going to be something in there, but he keeps doing other stuff, and I'm like, you're going to die, and you're going to reset and go, crap, that phone probably had something in it, better get it again. But obviously, he can't figure out the password, so he's stuck. The other different dialogue that we get from Tetsu is that because of of Shiori's family disappearing and him not being a clone, he knows that specifically a detective will be here the next day. So again, there's another thing that's changed. Probably Tetsu contacted some outside source and they're bringing in a detective. And this is when we get sort of a recap, I guess. This is probably one of the weaker scenes, but it's fine. So shows up and Shinpei's like, I trust So with everything. I will always trust So. I'm like, you're totally flagging that So is going to be a shadow. But yeah, Mio and Shinpei basically divulge everything to So. So actually believes him, and we immediately jump into the whole, well, everybody could be a shadow. Yes, we know. We're going to already hit in that thing. It's like, yeah, because the shadow is totally going to come to you and say, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to tell you about me first, and then I'll kill you. That makes perfect sense, So. Mio does recommend, once again, similar to a previous reset, that they go to the shrine in order to be cleansed. Also to meet up with Katakiri, because he should know about the history of this place. Which immediately Shinpei's like, no, can't do that now. Last time we went there right now, that didn't end well, so we're going to wait. We're going to wait until the festival, and then we'll go there and meet Katakiri. But yeah, that was kind of one of those moments where I almost start to wonder if Mio was replaced sometime that morning because she's so willing to push them to go there. But we'll see. But they also create the code word, which, like I said earlier, if the clone clones your memory, it doesn't matter. You're still going to know what that code word is. But the weird thing is after they got to get set up for the festival the next day, they all come to Shinpei's house where he's trying to get into Ushio's phone. And yeah, So says the code word thing, and he's like, it doesn't matter anyways. He's like, what? What the hell? You're actually doing that? And a weird thing happens in this scene. Obviously, we have the whole thing. Mio in a kimono was really cute. We have Tokiko, and she's cute. But there's a point in which Shinpei whispers to So, did you do the thing that you said you were going to do? What did you find? And So says, oh, that. Don't worry about it. I don't know if that was a point in which Shinpei was trying to prod into finding out if So was a clone. I don't know that it is, because I think if he did answer that way and Shinpei caught it, he would have immediately in his own mind said, So might be a shadow right now. That does bring up a good point. It does seem like with this episode especially, we're having a lot more of Shinpei in his own head. We did kind of note this idea early on that Shinpei likes to take a step back and think on a situation. And it's almost like it's manifesting it as an actual inner dialogue, where this other Shinpei is almost criticizing the actual Shinpei for what he's doing. I don't know if that's going to be tied in with my theories on Shinpei being a clone to begin with, but it could be just him and his unique ability to really take a step back and look at himself and look at what he's doing and criticize himself, which will be his own special ability to get through the situation. But again, it also could be that aspect of the gift that Ushio gave him at the very beginning, which is the other eye, and how he almost is two selves. Maybe he is a clone and a self at the same time. But again, that requires the whole theory that you can be cloned more than once. After this, we get the festival and a little bit of insight into relationships of these characters. Nothing really big here, really kind of establishing that Mio obviously likes Shinpei, and Shinpei sees her as a sister, and Shinpei really likes Ushio. That's really what is establishing here. And yes, the whole love triangle aspect, because So apparently likes Mio, and who the heck, probably Tokiko likes So. We have a big love hexagonal thing building right here. Like, amongst everybody dying, just so you guys know, that everybody loves each other and the person they love doesn't love them. That we're establishing that right now. We have a big crazy hexagonal thing. Shinpei to Ushio, Mio to Shinpei, So to Mio, Tokiko probably to So. Yeah, it's it's all over the place, but sure. We'll have to find out later on that maybe Ushio likes Tokiko. That way it can full circle it. I mean, it was obvious that Mio did like Shinpei from the very beginning. It did seem like she's really excited about seeing him again. She blushes a lot. We had this whole scene where they got caught in the rain, and she's asking, were you planning on leaving immediately? And he's like, yeah, I was actually planning on leaving immediately, but I don't know what now. Which, like, yeah, a lot of people probably be like, just grab Mio and run. Like, just grab Mio and leave. But we don't know if they follow you. They could follow you. And yes, the big, huge reveal at the very end. Shinpei sees Ushio running through the crowd. He runs after her. We have a brief moment of Mio going, oh, he chose somebody else besides me. It was kind of indicating that. But he runs after Ushio, ends up at some beachside area, and there's Ushio standing there, which again, is bringing up the question mark, which Ushio is this? Now again, my original theory is that this Ushio is going to be the original Ushio. She killed her clone. That's who was buried. It could also be the opposite. I could be wrong. The one they buried could be the actual Ushio, and this is going to be a clone. It's going to immediately kill Shinpei. I don't think that, just because of the whole aspect of Find Me. The Find Me could be that Ushio that is the clone is the one that's going to essentially get rid of all these other clones. That could be why she wants him to find that. I would think she'd want to warn him at the same time, so I don't know if that's true. But yeah, I'm really interested to see, like, this next scene is going to be very telling. The next scene could be him getting stabbed by Ushio. It could be her divulging everything. It could be that she doesn't know anything. There's a lot of things that this entire scene can imply. I mean, it could also just be somebody that looks similar to Ushio, and it's just he's imagining it is Ushio. But this is a big turning point. Now, and I want to say that, but at the same time, I'm hesitant because we're only 3 episodes into 25 episodes, so anything can happen beyond this point. But it seems very early. I really wasn't expecting Shinpei to find Ushio so soon. So that makes me believe that she's probably going to be the actual Ushio, and that she will be helping from this point on figure out how to undo this whole situation. But she's going to have to not be public. She can't be revealed. That now, the big question mark is, why is she at this festival? You would think that everybody who was just at the funeral would see Ushio walking through the festival and go, "We just buried you. Why are you here?" So that does tell me that it's almost as if she's probably going to be an image, that she's not physically there, and that only Shinpei can see her because he has one of her eyes. Because otherwise, why would somebody who just died go running around the festival and nobody go, "Wait, why is Ushio here? She's dead." But again, I'll be very curious what the story describes this whole scene as. But we're technically getting further than previously, so he is officially at this point a full day beyond the reset point that he had previously. So he's progressing. He didn't save Shiori or her family, so failed there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode. Definitely exciting as always. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you have not already. I do first impressions of all the shows of the season. I'm just wrapping up my last 3 or so, but they're all on the channel. Additionally, I do episode by episode impressions for several shows, including this one on the channel, as well as news, top lists, discussion videos. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Definitely appreciate y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed, and y'all take care.